So Ruben Amorim was appointed as manager of Manchester United, and as a fan base we all got really excited. And then the team news dropped for his first game, and he had chosen to play Amad as a right wing back, and the fan base went into a bit of a meltdown. But surprise surprise, Amorim was right to do this, and Amad has been playing really effectively as a wing back in this system. A little bit like we predicted would happen a few weeks ago, by the way. But the question is, why is Amad so effective as a wingback, and how is this working so well? Why and how? How and why and how? That is the question that we need to answer today. It's exactly what we're going to do if you first subscribe to the channel. Please? Okay, have you done it? Let's get into the video. So I think one of the major concerns that people had when we first saw Amad listed as a wingback was that he was simply too far away from the opposition goal. And in a sense, that is true. That is a valid point. He's not playing high as a winger, he is starting a little bit deeper. However, there is a very important positive here. When you play a little bit deeper, you simply get more touches of the ball. Previously under Erik ten Hag, Amad was averaging around 40 touches per game in the Premier League. Now under Ruben Amorim, he has had over 70 touches in both games. So we are getting one of our most technically capable players on the ball on a more regular basis. That is literally reason one why Amad is playing a little bit deeper as a wing back, because it allows him to get a lot of touches, and that is a huge positive for Manchester United. But of course, the important part is actually what he does with those touches. So the first thing we need to look at is literally the dynamic of playing a left-footed player on the right-hand side, particularly in deeper phases when you are trying to retain the ball. Because often what we will see from wing-backs is when they receive the ball, a lot of the time the first touch has to be backwards. They have to play with their back to goal, they have to receive in these positions, facing their own goal. Being left-footed just instantly makes this a lot easier. You see, when you are a right-footed player receiving in this position and you take your first touch backwards, if you are right-footed, it's a bit difficult to then naturally play inside the pitch, right? It's a little bit sticky, a little bit stodgy. However, when you are a left-footed player, it's incredibly natural to take your first touch back towards goal, keep your body between the ball and the opposition before then releasing the ball inside. That might go back to a centre-back, it might go into midfield, or it might go into the middle centre-back as well. But the important thing here is that the left-footed dynamic allows you to take a first touch backwards and then play the ball backwards and keep the ball for your team. So that's the first thing that Amad is doing well from this wing-back position. But of course it gets a little bit more exciting than that, because there is a key tactical pattern that we saw in the Everton game that allows Amad to be a bit more free with the way that he plays and be more than just a retention option. Now the pattern we are talking about is Marcus Rashford as the right inside forward, often moving a little bit higher and wider. And then Kobbie Mainoo in midfield doing something similar, moving a little bit further forward. Now what we can see is going to happen here is a space is going to open up in field. And again, Amad being left-footed and having a low centre of gravity and being brilliant on the turn, he's absolutely perfect to kind of spin and carry the ball inside the pitch like this. And because Kobbie Mainoo has made the run further forward, dragging the opposition backwards, Amad now has the ball with a lot of time. And Amad, as we know, is one of our most technical players. So again, we are getting a very technical player with a lot of time on the ball and a lot of touches. It's a huge positive. We can see some of this work here yesterday against Everton. Initially, Kobbie Mainoo has moved a little bit further forward. You can see he's in a higher position than Casemiro. But also Marcus Rashford is really high up here. Marcus Rashford almost moving into like a winger position on the right-hand side. And what this means is that as Amad receives the ball, he's got this space that he can spin into. And we know he's got all the technical quality in the world to do this. He does exactly that, he spins into this position. Now on this occasion, he doesn't do anything particularly exciting, particularly interesting, but it's just a glimpse of what he can do. He can spin infield with the ball. He is comfortable doing this. Would Marcus Rashford want to do this? Maybe not. Would Dalot want to do it from this side? Maybe not. Amad, it works perfectly. And there are moments where he's able to be a little bit more expressive. You can see it again in a situation like this. Again, he drops into midfield. This time, Kobbie Mainoo doesn't quite pick up the tactical cue. He doesn't really get out of the way. But it doesn't really matter, because once again, Amad can get the ball, and his left foot, again, allows him to play across the pitch. And this is something that we've seen a lot from Manchester United under Ruben Amorim, moving the ball side to side to stretch the opposition. Amad is a key part of that. But there are also moments where he can be progressive. First of all, it's this just beautiful first touch. Unbelievable first touch under pressure. He gets the ball down. And then again, it's that ability to kind of manage the contact from the opponent. As this defender puts him under pressure, it doesn't matter for Amad. He can still spin inside the pitch. He can still spin into these positions and eventually win the foul. This is something that he just keeps doing. Again, Marcus Rashford playing a little bit wider. It allows Amad to move inside the pitch. And this is just a dream. This is where you want Amad, because the link play, the flicks are absolutely brilliant. Now, the important thing for Amad to really be classed as a top-level wing-back is for him to be a two-way threat. Not just always moving inside onto his stronger foot, he has to go the other way sometimes as well. And I tell you what, early on, he's showing really good signs of doing this. We saw it particularly in a game against Everton. What he would often do is get himself in a side-on position. This means that as he receives the ball, he takes the first touch across his body with the right foot. And this, therefore, takes the first touch backwards. Just backwards a little bit. We are talking a very small space here, but he just shifts the ball backwards. And what this does is it encourages the opposition to come towards him. Then what he does is he takes the next touch with the left foot to shift it back the other way. This is a real turn of pace and acceleration. He's not necessarily the most powerful athlete you're ever going to see out wide, but because of the way that he manipulates the opposition, he draws them in. It allows him to get past players in these situations. You can see it here, moving a little bit deeper towards his own goal, receives the ball, and the first touch is with the right foot. This encourages the defender to come towards him. Then the second touch with the left foot pushes it past, and he races in behind into these situations. And the amount of times he's being fouled in these scenarios, being brought down, winning free kicks is really valuable. Amad is doing a great job of going both ways. Amad's great work on the ball is actually also backed up statistically as well. He completed 4 out of 4 dribbles against Everton, so every time he tried to beat a player, he was successful. That is absolutely phenomenal play, and it allows him to get into the final third on an incredibly regular basis. He may be starting deeper as a wing-back, but let's not look at this as a wing-back. This is a width provider, almost a bit like a winger. He's getting into the final third. In terms of what he offers in the final third, I'm not going to cover it today because we spoke about it fairly recently after the game against PAOK. I will leave that linked in the description if you want to go check it out. But just generally speaking, Amad does a brilliant job of progressing the ball when the ball is on his side. He is great at keeping the ball, progressing the ball, and being a threat in the final third. But it also gets even better, because from a tactical point of view, he is also the perfect player to have on the far side. This was of course a pattern of play that we were focusing on yesterday, overloading one area to isolate another position. Particularly down the left hand side, United are trying to draw players into this position, but the big aim really is to draw the opposition over and then find a space on the other side. And this is the exact reason why Ruben Amorim is playing a winger at wing-back. A lot of people will say it doesn't make sense, why would you do that? It's not natural to his game. Well, let me ask you this. You've got a player in this much space on the ball. Would you rather this is a winger who instinctively wants to get towards the final third, wants to attack space and take players on? Or would you rather this is a fullback who isn't particularly natural moving forward? It's pretty obvious, right? You want your winger. You want your creative player. Your player that can impact in the final third, receiving the ball with this amount of space. And we saw it so many times in this game against Everton. Moving the ball from one side, mainly from the left side, towards Amad on the right wing. And again, who do you want receiving the ball here? I know who I want here. It's Amad, because he is keen to attack the fullbacks. A fullback receiving the ball in this position, you know, Dalot perhaps, may not have the ability and the skill set to take his man on. But Amad does because he's a winger. And he takes on Mikalenko, he gets forward towards the final third, moves inside, again it's good movement from Rashford. You can see the threat of Amad in this position, and it was something that was on display throughout the game. Again, Dalot switching deep from the left hand side. Amad gets the ball, carries the ball, he is aggressive, and then has that eye for a pass to find Marcus Rashford in behind the opposition defence. But he just kept doing it. Again, look at all that space on the far side. Who do you want there? I want a winger there. I want a winger there. And Ruben Amorim wants the exact same thing, and this is why Amad is playing as a wing-back. Because he can get the ball in these situations, he can be the spare man. This is a pattern that we spoke about immediately when Ruben Amorim was linked with a club. This idea of finding the man on the far side. Amad's perfect to be that player. Granted, the finish wasn't very good on this occasion, but if we just look at this from a different angle, look at the amount of space. Again, you want a winger attacking those situations. The finish wasn't very good on this occasion, but normally you would expect him to do a lot better, and that's a huge positive for United. Just the last thing I quickly want to look at is also how this works from a defensive point of view. There's a lot of talk of Manchester United defending in a 3-4-3, but if you actually look at the personnel on paper, this lineup to me looks like you've got 2 centre-backs with De Ligt and Lisandro Martinez, 2 full-backs with Mazraoui and Dalot. So it would suggest it's not always going to defend in a back 3, and that's certainly been the case. We have often seen Mazraoui shifting more towards the right-hand side, and there are situations, granted not always, but there are situations where Manchester United shift to more of a back 4. We then see Casemiro and Kobbie Mainoo playing as a double pivot, Amad as a right winger, his actual position, and then Bruno Fernandes will often drop to the left-hand side. Now, of course, there is a bit of rotation. Sometimes we will see Rashford out wide with Bruno through the middle, but the idea is the same. United often shift to more of a 4-4-2 shape. Now, why does this suit Amad? Well, because it means he's not defending as a wing-back, although he does do tracking work, but he's defending in a position where he can still play high, and should Manchester United win the ball back in these areas, he's in a position once again to transition quickly, to get forward at pace. That is exactly what you want from Amad, and again, that is the reason why Ruben Amorim is playing a winger in this position. You can see it here, this isn't a 3-4-3, that is very much a front 2 from Manchester United. And then you can see the line of 4 behind him. Now, one player is just out of shot, he's just behind the screen. But you can see the next line of 4 from Manchester United, and Amad being in this position as a right-sided midfielder, as opposed to a traditional wing-back, is able to get towards the opposition, he's able to steal yards, he's able to press high up the pitch. And we spoke about it yesterday, his tenacity is just phenomenal. His work rate in these situations, I absolutely love it. It's that desire to get the ball in these positions, and we all know what happened from here. We also saw it on a second occasion as well. It was really brilliant from Amad, and we've seen this on display in both games now. Some brilliant work, and I really do think that Ruben Amorim has made a good call by playing him in this wing-back position. Would I still like to see him used as an inside forward at some point? I would. I think ultimately that would still be his best position. But I also think currently he is our best right wing-back option. And I think Ruben Amorim is right, for now, to keep playing him there. Because he is doing a smashing job. It gets him in the team and it gets him a lot of touches where he's very, very effective. But those are just my thoughts. I want to hear yours in the comments down below. What do you think of Amad? What do you think of Ruben Amorim? And the dynamic between the two of them. And particularly the position and the role that he is playing. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. But apart from that, we are finished for today. So thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.